Mama's in the living room watching Judge Judy. I'm in the kitchen eating leftover sushi. And she yells, oh, girl, you gotta hear this one. A man was arrested for running the theme park. And when they said, where's your license? He said, my dog ate it. Oh, you can't make this shit up. Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on her Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, girl, you gotta hear this one. Mama loves to laugh at how absurd life is, says it's all a comedy and I'm her audience. And I love the way she makes fun of the world. She said, you'll never guess who's with their girlfriend. It was a man who didn't get us out of the bed. He said, I've been through hell and now I need some help. You just can't make this shit up. You just can't make this shit up. Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, girl, you gotta hear this one.
Hey guys, it's Squid. Welcome back to my channel. Hope everybody is doing well on this Monday morning. I am exhausted. I got a whole 4 hours of sleep last night. I am tired. I got up, did 2 workouts this morning, not one. Holy hell. But I had a lot of fun last night, so it was worth it. But I slept like crap. And I got up early. You know. Oh, and now that stupid bug that has been going around YouTube, which I've been avoiding somehow with my chat, has hit my chat, and now we got all the at names. So if anybody comes in here and I look at you and I look at your name and I'm like, I know you, but I don't know you. Just remind me if you have a different screen name than your actual YouTube handle. Please let me know, because sometimes I get a little wee with names. But I hope everybody is doing well today. We are going to hop straight into it because this is a hot topic, supposedly. We are going to hop back into the NTSB reports. I did invite Spawn. He is busy today, so whether he'll be able to join us or not, I don't know. And he has a stream with My Pretty on Mondays. So it is what it is. However, we are going to hop right into it anyway, because we have a whole lot to get through. And the faster we get to it, the faster we can move on to other things. Like Kevin Franke filed another lawsuit against Jody Hildebrand 4 days ago. I'm working on getting my my hands on that lawsuit. I've looked up a few articles and nobody has seemed to actually have the lawsuit or even say where it's filed. They say Utah. Is it in federal court? I can't find it on Pacer. Is it in state court? If so, what county? Like, these are important details. I did see a YouTube video where someone was covering it, but she never actually showed the lawsuit. And when I was looking at what she was reading, it sounded like she was partially reading just the key takeaways that I found in multiple articles. So I don't know if she was actually reading the lawsuit and had the lawsuit in front of her or not. I'm not really sure. So I will be looking for that today. But that's another bombshell because he goes into details supposedly about things that happened in the house and things that happened in therapy with Jody Hildebrandt. Because I've always had that question with Kevin Franke as to why he let all this happen. Well, we now have possible details as to why this happened. Sorry, she dropped the toys she was carrying on her foot. So, yeah. So, hey, Paul, Gail. Hi, Jeff. I know who you are. Paul, Rick Reed. I spent the last 3 days with my grandson at Disneyland. Had to use a mobility scooter, even though I was in pain. I enjoyed every minute. Well, I'm glad that they had mobility scooters. They were probably an arm and a leg to rent, so I hope you had your own. The county where she lived in Washington County, St. George area. It is state court. All right. Because the lawsuit could have been filed in any, because the lawsuit against Jody Hildebrandt and Connections was filed in federal court in Utah. And I have to look up updates for that. I haven't looked through that lawsuit in a long time. So there's another one that I'm so behind on, the Connections lawsuit. As Rosalind puts it, is it a cult? When Rosalind and I were going through that lawsuit, she had a checklist of, is it a cult? Oh, and I will be posting a short of the lift I did today. It was a front squat. My max lift was 115. I am going to post the 105 lift because the 105 lift looked decent and the face looked decent. 115, the lift looks decent, but my face looks like I need an exorcist. Just saying. Harry, did y'all notice after Stacy said she had someone watching Squid last night, she made a comment about Little Squid, indicating people to call watch. I don't know who you're talking about. So if y'all want to enlighten me, I don't know who that is. I don't know who Stacy is. I'm assuming another chatter, but I don't know who that is. I don't know. Is that more drama that people are trying to rope me into? Pounds. I don't dock. I'm American. I don't do kilograms. You need an exercising exorcist to exercise the grueling goal. No, I literally, it's Jeffrey. They're posted in the, both videos are posted in the working on my fitness section of the Discord. And it is, you can see the facial differences. And if you listen to the audio and the second lift, I take the barbell off the rack and I'm like, this is heavy. Heavy is what I say. I literally look like I need an exorcist the whole day or the whole time. So, she's from Tulise. She was here. Maybe that's why I lost a subscriber this morning because I had it in subscribers only mode. So subscribe to talk crap about me and then unsubscribe when you want to. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at the chat because I don't know. There's people I pay attention to in chat and I'll look at somebody's comment, but if it one doesn't make sense to me, two, I don't know who someone is. I tend not to remember things that, or if I think someone's trying to create drama, I'll just, because I learned, in part of becoming an adult, I learned that not every conversation needs to be had. And the part about self-respect, nobody else will respect you if you don't respect yourself. And if I literally, Yeah, if I let people bother me over stupid stuff and I call out every person that talks crap, like it it it's not every conversation needs to be had. Actions speak louder than words, and oh, I just want to warn, if she messes with my little squid, she will be done. I'll have to go look at the comments that or the live chat replay, because I don't know, you know. I've got my first kid on the way and I'm trying to budget like an adult now, so I might have to slow down on membership gifts. You do what you need to do to take care of your family first. Remember, I might be called a grifter by the people who hate me, which is kind of hilarious because they all monetize their streams and get super chats and gifts and goes, and or don't have YouTube channels at all and don't understand what it's like. However, it's funny. You have to take care of you. Remember, we only donate our Starbucks and or Publix money. We don't our ramen, our Aldi money. If you're shopping at Aldi out of necessity because you can't afford like Walmart or, Food Lion or Target or anything like that, you don't need to be sending super chats. You just let the ads play and that's good enough for me. Like you have better things to do, like count sugar granules that spilled out the last time you used it. The fleas are mad because you can't. I'm not gonna go there. Yeah. Thanks to all who supported me. I can't have done it without Squid and all his chat. New Cam will be here shortly, and I'm psyched. When you live in a small ass town, yeah, Walmart's considered a step up. I don't share my Meijer money. Yeah, the fact that you threw Meijer in my face right now, I'm kind of mad at you. All right, we are going to get into this hearing. We left off last time about we left off about 1:15-ish into day 2, which is panel 3. And panel 3 is discussing DCA's air traffic control. Our favorite person, Clark Allen, is actually wearing a suit jacket this day. However, the math ain't mathin'. So what he said last time was that when we last left off with both Spawn and Squid beating their heads against a wall, going, wait, according to him, DCA is supposed to be staffed at 20 controllers in a day. 20 controllers, 9 in the morning, 9 at night, and 2 for the midnights or mids shift. Well, that particular day, he's been staffing, and I wrote it down so that I wouldn't forget, because I write shit down, otherwise I forget. 9 in the AM, 9 in the evening, and 2 on mids. He's been staffing 16 shifts in a day. That would be 7 in the morning, 7 in the afternoon, or afternoon, evening, and night, and then 2 for overnights. Well, according to the preliminary report, there was only 5 people in the tower at the time. He said they were fully staffed. However, there was only 5 people in the tower. They're staffed at 7, yet they're supposed to have 9. His math wasn't mathing, and I was kind of annoyed with him. So we are going to get into that. But first, Chris, thank you for the 5 Squid Protocol memberships. I really appreciate you. And Kathy, the good word. Good to see you laughing. I always laugh. If you can't laugh, like, it's just one of those, Walmart's the new Family Dollar. And Rick, thank you for the $2 super chat. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for helping to ensure that I don't work for free. I at least get a little something for the time. So we just are going to start this. I have it playing at 1.35 because you will see how slow some of these people talk, even at 1.35 speed. I backed it up a couple of seconds so you can see the last question that was asked. And the guy on the left here is the one asking questions.
Repeat the question again.
On the night of the accident, did the operations supervisor meet your expectations as the operations manager during that night while he was on shift at the time of the accident?
Oh, and I want to clarify, that is Clark Allen. He is the operations manager of DCA, this air traffic control. The buck is supposed to stop with him. He seems like a nice guy, but was he lying or is he just incompetent? I'm not sure which one. No, they had actually combined two of the positions. So they had 5 controllers at the time working 5 open positions: assistant local control, ground control, clearance delivery, local control, and operations supervisor. Helicopter control and local control positions were combined at 1540 on the day of the accident. Flight data and clearance delivery positions were combined. So they had 2 positions that were, or 4 positions that were combined into 2. So they were combined and they were only staffed at 5. So, and coming for you. Oh, thank you for the 1999 super chat. Okay, have my Meyer money. I really do miss Meyer. It's one thing I do really miss about living up north is I miss Meyer's. Meyer, there was like a Meyer like 2 miles from my house. It was my go-to store, not only for food but for cheap clothes. I mean, it was like Walmart. It was like Target with Walmart prices. It was great. So it was good.
So I'm asking, like, considering all the things that person is responsible for, the combining of positions, the traffic management or the monitoring of traffic complexity, density, how much traffic was going on, getting people in and out, training, all these things, was he meeting the expectations that you have for the operations supervisor at that time?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's all I have for right now, and I'm going to pass it along to Sarah.
Thank you, Brian. Good morning. Mr. Fuller, I wanted to ask a couple questions that Brian started to bring up about proficiency. Can you explain to me, how does the air traffic organization determine the amount of time needed as adequate for proficiency? And if you can just kind of explain to everyone, what is proficiency? What does that even mean?
So we have a minimum amount of time you need to work each month. We call it currency. And I believe it's 16 hours for a control position or a controller to work for 16 hours per month. If they're out for a month or they don't meet those currency requirements, they're required to recertify on each position before returning back to work. If they're out for an extended amount of time, a year or something like that, we put them back through the training program before they go back to work. Proficiency is not quite the same. Proficiency is, it doesn't really have a scale or a metric. It's about a comfort level. If you've been in one facility for 20 years, you could probably come back and in 30 minutes, you're back proficient because that's what you've done your entire career. If you're newly certified, obviously you're not going to be as proficient, no matter how many hours you get that month. So it's different. There's no real way to capture that.
Okay, thanks. And so in this instance, the person that was working assistant local control, do you know, are you familiar with what their primary duty was as assigned to DCA Tower by chance?
Yes.
Can you explain to us what were her, what were their,
that threw her off. She wasn't supposed to identify that it was a female. I think she was not supposed to identify the gender of the people in the tower at the time of the accident. And you can see she said it, she corrected herself, and now she's just thrown off. Yeah, she's just thrown off. I don't think that it's so much them using a gendered pronoun. I think they are trying to keep the people that were in the tower anonymous, and by saying they're even though it's technically supposed to be he or she by English class standards, I think that they were just trying to keep the gender of the people in. They're trying to keep their identities anonymous. And by letting people know their gender, they can start to speculate on who, not me, because I have no idea who any of these people are. But if someone has some idea of a controller that works in DC and might have an inkling of who this person is and now leaks this person's name to the media, it could start a shit show. Yeah, and there's a limited number of she's. So it's I don't think it was done to be gender neutral. I think it was done to keep the identities of the people in the tower anonymous. But it threw her off.
Duties as an ALC, and what would be their proficiency requirements?
So again, as previously stated, an assistant local control is almost exactly like it sounds. It's like a right seat, or excuse me, a left seat in an aircraft. They're the assistant, the local controller, with identifying traffic, coordinating handoffs, any of the duties that would primarily fall to the local control, they are there to assist with. They're not the primary person speaking to aircraft, but if they identify a conflict, it's pointing them out to the local control. Hey, watch those two. Request a control for something, let me coordinate a heading, any of those kind of activities to assist the local control in maintaining their duties. Again, I believe as Mr. Allen spoke, you're required to get about an hour of that a month. I don't know exactly how many hours this particular controller got. Again, they just returned from leave, but it's my understanding they've been certified at this facility for multiple years, and it wouldn't be unexpected for them to come back and be able to handle assistant local control.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Allen, are you aware, do you know how much time had the local controller worked the helicopter position and the local control positions combined during the training and qualification process? Is there a minimum expectation as part of that qualification that they would be able to train on it, combine a certain amount of hours before certification?
I'm not aware of his training records. I don't have the hours off the Dash 25s.
Okay, not a problem. And so overall for the facility, do you guys have a minimum requirement of having that controller in training show that when they're training on both combined? Is there a minimum, or how do they know when they're ready to take on the responsibility of being able to handle both at the same time?
So in the training process, there's a training team associated with each person in training, consisting of a supervisor and certified controllers. With that, there are routine and regular training team meetings, performance assessments, and when the training team would have a consensus that they're able to begin training on more complex or more volume in order to continue progressing in training, then that would be a discussion and occur at that time.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Jarvis, you were speaking to us earlier about your role with the Eastern Service Quality Control Group, and when you were assigned to DCA. Can you please add any of your observations that you had while you were there on the health of the DCA training?
Yes, good morning. And I do want to make it clear that I'm here on behalf of myself, not on behalf of my employer, Leidos. The health of the facility, as far as the certified professional controllers, that has always been on the lower number of staffing, not necessarily healthy. It's cost of living is high there, hard to attract those folks. Also, when the administrative staff was my biggest concern. I had been asked by a general manager at one point to look into see do they need a second operations manager, and I took a quick look, and the answer was yes, they do. No action was ever taken on that. They had a couple support staff folks at one point, and one I think retired, another one was we'll say relocated, and then they went without any staff specialists for approximately 3 years. Those duties fell to the operations manager and a support manager, as well as the air traffic manager, and that was a concern of mine. I brought that to many attention, every opportunity I had, and at one point I was told to quit bringing it up.
Wait.
Mr. Jarvis, do you feel that impacted the training program at DCA?
Wait, we're gonna back that up because y'all caught that, right? Like y'all heard what he said. Like
This manager and a support manager, as well as the air traffic manager, and that was a concern of mine. I brought that to many attention, every opportunity I had. And at one point I was told to quit bringing it up.
He had concerns.
Mr. Jarvis, do you feel that
He had concerns, and he was told to stop bringing it up. I mean, there's certain things that was like I there are certain things that like you just can't when you hear them, you have an opinion, and like I try to keep my emotions in check because I am almost a 40-year-old woman, but it's just sometimes when you hear shit and you're like he found issues, like, yeah, and that the fact that they put his company's name on his little name tag or name plate is really shitty. And those aren't nameplates; those are literally just freaking pieces of paper folded in half. But whatever. Like the fact that he needed to separate, because anything he says should not reflect his work because he's not there. He is there as, let's see what the witness list actually says. I need to close this. I have so many tabs and windows open that I'm like trying to find stuff. He is, let's see, James Jarvis. I have the witness list up here. He is an air traffic control specialist for the FAA Eastern Surface Quality Area Control Group, Leidos, out of College Park, Georgia. So the fact that he had to say that, for one, is just a really crappy thing. But like when he says, I was told to stop bringing it up. What? Like, and it's shitty because these are people's lives that are, it's not like me, oh, I Mr. Squid needs to fix the door. He doesn't. They're fine. But just using it as an example. Or I need him to hang a curtain rod and I keep bugging him about hanging a curtain rod. It's not a life or death situation. It's a damn curtain rod. And he might tell me to stop bringing it up. He'll get to it when he gets to it. But like, this is life or death. Anything in air traffic control, anything in aviation is life or death. Even the person that is installing a radio has to tighten that screw perfectly, because if that screw comes out, that screw falls through a floorboard, that screw gets down into something, gets into a piece of equipment that affects the airworthiness. It's called FOD, foreign object damage. Now it affects the whole aircraft. So even somebody is the lowest level airman on the flight line still has to account for every tool, every screw, nut, bolt, every part, everything that they bring out to the aircraft. Like, I just can't imagine. And this is the bullshit of why I hate government and bureaucrats. Because all these is bureaucrats. It doesn't affect them, so they don't care. Doesn't affect them, so they don't care. And this is why we need smaller people. So you have less people to go, well, it's her problem or his problem or this person's problem or that person's problem. It's like, the fuck? Hey, A21. How are you? What's up, LPO? I just, sometimes you just wonder, like, what are people thinking or not thinking? And this is why I do shit like this, because you'd never know that anybody brought up stuff if we didn't listen to this. And I know I'm doing a lot of this, but it's like, talk with the hand. But talk with the hand is better than talking to the hand. Yeah, this guy is falling. Yeah, just shut up about it. And now you have 67 people who are no longer with us, including 11 children. Sometimes an entire family. There was an entire family, 2 figure skaters, two daughters, I think 11 and 9, and their parents. So, yeah, an entire family just gone. So, I was told to shut up about it.
Impacted the training program at DCA?
Absolutely. There was not enough folks to manage the training that needed to take place. Anytime a training package needed to be prepared, a support manager they had to do all that work with the help sometimes of the operations manager. And not only would they put it together, they have to brief it, and then they have to document that the training occurred. And it was a large tasking that took place. And there was also some simulation training that was required annually that the facility didn't have the resources. They didn't have the equipment at one point to do that. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And I think we're going to come back to some of those reasons why in a little bit.
I'm just gonna make sure we keep talking about this stuff, and that's them, not me. Yeah. Who wants to do dishes and vacuum? I did that this morning. And Jeffrey, thank you for the $5 super chat. Let's make sure we keep talking about this stuff. And as long as I have a channel, and people to talk to, I will keep talking about this stuff, because like, this is where my problem with big government comes in. It's not the most dangerous words in the English language are I'm from the government and I'm here to help. But the problem with a huge government is there's so many people who, one, are unelected, and two, can pass the buck because they're like, the FAA is huge. Spawn brought up a really good point the other day, and I didn't kind of have the heart to tell him. And if he hears this, he's going to get on my case, which, whatever. He'll be fine. I basically didn't have the heart to tell him that it's like, the FAA is not just a small organization. The FAA is massive. Massive. So you have people within the FAA that don't know each other, have never met, don't know each other. So you have people who only know a fraction of the job. It's like working on a car and only knowing how to change the tires. Most mechanics know how to do brakes, tires, engine work, transmission, shocks, struts, all the shit. You have people in this organization that only know a tiny part. It's like only knowing how to change a tire. And it's one of those situations of, it's easy for them to go, well, that's not my job. And when you have 10,000, and I don't know how big the FAA is as far as actual employees, I'm just throwing out a number. This is not an actual exact number, so do not quote me. But say you have 10,000 people. It's so easy for 1 in 10,000 people to go, well, that's not my job. That's not my job. That's not my job. It's like the VA. You know how many times I call up the VA trying to get a change of address or something silly? And it's like I get passed around to different people because they have no idea what the hell is going on. It's why big government is awful. It's because it's so easy for the accountability to, yes, Jeff Grady, you put it perfectly. Big accountability or big government equals less accountability. When you only have 3 people, and obviously our government has to be bigger than 3 people. I'm just using, like I said, simple numbers to make my point. When you have 3 people, it's very hard for someone to go, well, it's not my problem, it's theirs. No, but when you have 100,000 people, now it's very easy for someone to go, well, it's not my problem, it's theirs. And for them to do the same thing and on until not one person ever gets held accountable for 67 people losing their lives. Yep, and you get a pass, and you get a pass, and you get a pass, and you get a pass. It's all like, yeah, fails anonymous. Well, it fails anonymously always. And hey, Debbie Webb, how are you? So if you see me criticize the government, I don't criticize one side or the other. You tend to criticize one side more than the other because I hate government and one side tends to advocate for a bigger government. But I was making a comment in my comment section. I was responding to a comment this morning, and it was like, you know what? This what the hales thing is a microcosm of society at large. People are so blinded by their hate for one person that they lose common sense. People are so blinded for their hate for one person that they think they want to do the exact opposite out of spite. And I understand wanting to do things out of spite. Hello, my name is Squid. Have we met? However, there are some things that we can universally agree on, despite you hating one person so horrible. And that's the same thing I'm trying to do with the what the hell stuff is. People might hate Jeremy so much that they're blinded by pure rage and they just want to do anything to spite Jeremy. And people might hate Lynette so much that they're willing to do anything to just spite Lynette. But there has to be a common ground, and you will not always disagree with someone 100% of the time, even when you don't like their personality. And this is the problem with our society as a whole. This world lacks common sense. Yes. And the fact that people can't see that more people to tell you how to do the job is not the answer. It's not the answer. Because you can see all the people in here who are working for the government. What are they actually doing? What are they actually doing? Yeah, I was going to massage therapy to help with my pain, and when I was trying to get more sessions, they changed the requirements on me, and I had to go to whole health, and I had to go to a whole health class, and literally it was a freaking Zoom meeting to tell me everything that they have going on, and that I needed 2 services. I had to wait 5 months in order to get that. My freaking massage therapist moved and no longer works at the VA. And I don't even know where she moved, so I can't get a hold of her to make a self-pay appointment. Yeah. And that lack of accountability is the entire plan of inaction in all governments, whether fed or local. Dumbing down of some generations allow for lack of accountability is accepted. And that's one of the reasons that I love that you're here, Jeff, is you explain things in a common sense way where my brain thinks it, but you put it where I cannot express my thoughts in an eloquent way like you can. Yay! Yay! Yeah, you can't hate someone you don't care about. Yeah, and that's why I say haters are the biggest fans of people, is they put the most time and effort into you. Because it takes a lot of effort to hate somebody. It takes a lot of effort. You know how much it takes, how much effort I put into the people I don't like? 0. A whole lot of nothing. I just go on about my day. If I see a post that I don't like, instead of interacting with it and taking the time to tell people how stupid they are, I just keep on scrolling. And it takes 0 mental energy. And I stay happier. Plus, the best revenge is a life well lived. You're like the rest of us and let 4-letter words get in the way. Yeah, that's true. Oh, I love when the VA suggests a new appointment at an earlier date than what I have, then notify me that day it's canceled. I love it. Oh, I just can't. No problem, Debbie. I'm so glad you're healthy. It's good to hear. Yay. I love positive news. And part of the other reason that I have this channel, not just to make fun of government, to my FBI handlers that are watching, it's in Minecraft. You're fine. However, it's okay to root for other people. Like, we don't have to tear each other down. Like, we don't tear each other down. We might make fun of each other in jest, just playfully, but like, it's okay to lift other people up. In order to make yourself feel better, you don't have to tear other people down. Although sometimes it is fun, but that's for a Reddit stream. That's where we make fun of people. Hey, Malin. Hey, Squidly, how are you this fine Monday? Exhausted, but tired, good tired. Like, I've gotten a lot done today. And this is them, not me.
But for right now, can you let me know, why do you think the DCA needed two
People movements around the region. Any flybys at Arlington, that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time, and especially in many instances, you might have
I didn't even think, and I'm sorry to interrupt yet again, I did not even think of Arlington. Did not even think of Arlington. Like, flybys. Like, I've thought of restricted airspace around the Capitol building and the White House and monuments and stuff like that, but I forgot about Arlington. How do you forget about Arlington? Yeah, malicious compliance. You kill them with kindness. You don't. Plus, I'm not gonna let anybody dull my shine, because I don't have a lot. Have a lot to go around. So never let anybody dull your shine. And let's see if I'm letting people dull my shine, especially people I don't know, especially random people on the internet and like a Facebook thread. I just keep scrolling. Or Instagram. You see a picture you don't like. I had somebody comment on the short I posted of my last lift. Y'all know when you're not watching her workout video to comment on her weightlifting. I'm like, do you realize like 90% of the people commenting are people that are regularly in my chat? You're the only one who's making this weird, crazy, stalkerish kind of comment. Kill them with kindness. Plus, when you're nice to people who don't like you, it makes them angry, which is even better. That is your YouTube has been doing this weird stuff. It was doing it in Spawn's chat for a little while, I think. It's been doing it in people's chats all over YouTube. It's your actual handle, not your username. So if you go to your settings, you'll be able to see your username and then your handle, and it's your handle. So, it finally hit my chat. I don't know what is going on with it, but yesterday it started doing it to my chat. I thought I was immune to it, and turns out I'm not.
several in one day. And so we'll just say with that needs to be briefed to the workforce. That's a lot of work. And to do all that coordination, and the Pentagon's right next door to the airport. They have a lot of needs and wants as well. All this communication coordination distracts from the ability to coach the younger supervisors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Allen, I would like to ask you, other than the other metropolitan Washington, D.C. airports, can you think of any other facility in the country that would have the unique challenges that DCA has with being located exactly where it is?
There's none that I'm aware of.
Okay. Can you explain to us some of the complexities that you faced as an operations manager, with kind of expand on what Mr. Jarvis said, and also keeping in mind that how many hours did you spend a day typically in the tower overseeing the management?
Yeah, so the operation is the number one priority. I would oversee daily the operation supervisors as well as the control staff working either the day or the evening shift. There are many challenges throughout a day, whether it's a staffing challenge, whether there's an airport construction project that needs to happen, or there's an issue with gates or the airlines, weather, priority movements, flybys. There's multiple items occur each day that you have to assist and manage. In addition to that, you're trying to meet with your supervisors, provide coaching, provide a direction in how we're going to run this operation and move forward. And then with that, you're also looking at short-term goals, long-term goals, whether there are, during my time, we had a large runway rehabilitation project. It occurred over 2 years, and MWA, the Metropolitan Washington Airport Authority, rehabbed all of the runways. So that was a project that continued, and we would have to work through daily while it was going on, the long-term goals of it, what are the impacts of it, how we have to adjust the operation, and really be dynamic. So as the operations manager, there's not just, I don't think there's, I'm sure there's in HR, there's a list of duties and responsibilities, but being at DCA and the various lines of business and entities that you touch, it's more than just those duties. It's beyond that. There's just a lot going on with DCA.
And while this is going on, and while certain people are answering questions, not only pay attention to what they're saying, but pay attention to the faces of the other people on the panel. Because the face of this warrant officer back here, who is a Black Hawk pilot, and this guy in the middle wears his person ran across my screen, or like the screen on Gail, my video, or the hearing. Because I don't know. Pay attention to these two guys in my screen. There's nobody, like the little is sitting on her couch right here. I had to get through a level of her the hearing. I don't know. I didn't see it, but I don't know. But focus on these two guys right here. This guy between with the glasses, in between Mr. Clean and Clark. And then this guy back here on the left, who is the medevac guy. These two are the most animated, but this pilot over here also is very the facial expressions when people say things that they may not like are very telling. And it's one of the things that I titled this "The Math Ain't Mathin'," but it's also, are people lying or are they just incompetent? And I'm really not sure which one it is at this point. I think there's a lot of incompetence in this entire room. A lot. Even from the people asking questions. And I'm not sure that I like any of it at this point. They ran between the tables, or am I seeing things? I don't know. It might have been a shadow. I know there are 6 tables here, so, or both. Yeah, it could be a combination of both. But the more that this Clark Allen guy talks, the less I'm liking him, because he seemed like a likable person. However, with that being said, the math, when he talked about the controller staffing, I just, there's a lot of cover my ass. We did look at the staffing numbers. So the staffing numbers of how many people were supposed to be there, how many people he was staffing, the 18 versus 6, or the 20 versus 16 versus 12. So, I just, and hey, Fly on the wall, our sweet Fly, how are you, my dear? I just, the more he talks, the less credible and the more cover my ass he seems like. Hopefully he goes back to credible, but I'm not. Yeah.
Would it be fair to say that those responsibilities and unique challenges also flow down to an operations supervisor, traffic management coordinator, and individual controllers?
Yeah, 100%.
How do you prepare controllers with training to be able to manage the complexity of working this specific spot in the NAS?
So the trainings that we have the in-house training program that they work through that consists of classroom, simulation, and then on-the-job training. In addition to that, we provide familiarization opportunities where whenever it's time for a trainee to train on ground control, we take them down to the airport authority. They hop in a Suburban and go out and drive the airfield and get the perspective of the airfield, what it looks like to a pilot. Take a look at the hot spots, common crossing points, and just get a real feel of how the airfield operates. Whenever a trainee gets to local helicopter and assistant local control, we're fortunate enough that we coordinate with the U.S. Coast Guard that is based at DCA, and we coordinate FAM flights for them so they can get up and fly the helicopter routes, see the perspective from the helicopter users, and how that integrates into the entire system. In addition to that, even the folks that are certified, like our traffic management folks, whenever we are approaching winter for winter weather and de-icing, we do a good job. I coordinate with Mandy, and we have the folks go out and meet their counterparts at Washington Center or Potomac and make that connection and have those discussions. And then prior to coming into the summertime, whenever we have the significant lines of weather that move through, we conduct briefings and again have the controllers, the traffic management specialists, meet with their counterparts at the adjacent facilities to discuss those challenges, to make those connections and to make the operation that much better.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. I appreciate it. I'm going to pass along to my colleague, Dr. Wilson.
Dr. Wilson, if you could pause for a second, just to let everyone know, we do have working bathrooms for everyone up here. Now we've moved on to the air conditioning. So, I do want to say, I tried to tell you all that you could wear polo shirts with logo gear, but you didn't listen. I knew the Army wouldn't, but I mean that.
I knew the Army wouldn't. Wow. I'm sorry. She's playing a game. So, yeah. I'm watching her, but the bathroom situation. Why is the bathroom situation of this conference room or this conference center, wherever they are at, taking over this entire hearing? I don't understand it. Hey, Snipe Hunter, how are you? Good to see you. You did it. Do you want to get down or you want to stay up here?
No.
Down? Okay.
No.
No? You don't want to get down? You want to stay up here? All right. No buttons. No boo. Oh, yeah. All right. So I'm going to skip through what she is saying. How often do you repeat that training to recertify? I haven't heard them say a specific number. Maybe that what's his name? The guy on the end. He might have said it. So he might have said it, but after you're gone for a certain amount of time, you need to recertify. But I think it's like you need 16 hours to stay certified. I just don't know how long you have to be gone before you have to recertify. So, hey, Tammy, how are you? Everyone has had their morning coffee and needs to let loose. Oh, that good old the coffee shit.
No.
Repairs in government time. I guess the building is there and having HVAC plumbing issues. Go figure. Repairs in government time. Yup. Yeah, everybody's got the coffee shits. Excuse me, ma'am. Okay, we're going to Hey. Hi, Malin. Looking good. All right.
Okay.
Baby's good. Push the buttons. Well, she already turned on the let's not blind the chat, okay?
No, I just.
All right. I'm gonna skip through her
Mama.
Angel.
No, I don't.
You heard it here first, folks.
Oh, I don't.
No, we're not gonna blind the chat, okay? We're not gonna blind the chat. But we are gonna restart this hearing. Whoop.
Respectfully. If the witnesses, if you want to take your jackets off, it's hot. I get it. It's fine. Don't feel like you have to be so formal. Go ahead, Dr. Wilson.
Let me guess. Clark takes his jacket off.
I want to follow up on some of the training questions that we've been talking about. The assistant local control position, is that always staffed, Mr. Allen?
Yes, in accordance with the point 3 and the DCA SOP.
Okay. And so you mentioned that their purpose, they coordinate with the local controller. Is there specific training on how to coordinate?
On the job training. I mean, they sit right next to each other.
Okay. Do they receive any sort of classroom training on, teamwork or how to communicate the basics of that so that when they get to on the job training, they can apply what they've learned.
Okay, they coordinate. They sit next to each other. Sitting next to each other doesn't mean jack crap. What happens when they sit next to each other? I've sat next to 100 freaking people who I've never said a word to at work. Out of necessity, out of I didn't give a shit, whatever. That is not answering the question. And this is where, like, you touched me?
No.
Oh, okay. You caught me?
No.
Oh, so there's a sentence in there somewhere. There's words in there somewhere, huh?
No.
Okay. But this is where he's losing credibility with me. Instead of answering the question, well, they sit next to each other. How do they coordinate? They sit next to each other. Do they make notes and they pass back and forth? Do they literally look at each other while they're both on monitors? What? Like, answer the damn question. Answer the question. My, like, I glue the guy next to me to his desk. Girl, then stop. I'm gonna take my phone away.
No.
Then stop. She keeps turning on the light and pointing it at herself, and I'm like, no, you're done. You're done. But it's like old Morse code. Yes, thank you, Heroes Chris. Like, this is one of the reasons that he's losing credibility. And I know I just said it, but answer the questions directly. Don't give any extra information. But, like, how do they coordinate? Well, they sit next to each other. The fuck is that supposed to mean? That's not coordination, because that does not involve speaking. Oh my goodness.
It's covered in classroom training on like how to coordinate with the adjacent facilities, and within the tower, everyone can just talk freely. So,
And
You still didn't answer the question. They can just talk freely. Do people have a plan? Do you have a specific, like, hey, take notes? Do you have a clipboard where they share so when they're talking to other people, they can still see certain things? Is one hand left-handed, one right-handed, one left-handed, so that they can both write at the same time and hold hands? Answer the fucking question. Like, so the math, the last time they had mentioned the staffing issues and said that the math, like, my title to this video is the math ain't mathin'. It's like the shit isn't adding up. What you are talking about in these hearings, specifically this guy right here, what he is talking about, and what the preliminary reports say about air traffic control and who was staffed, how many were staffed, didn't add up. So if you're not willing to tell the truth, or you're fibbing, or you're incompetent about that, something as simple as numbers that are, it's one of those situations where this is my logic, and this might not be other people's logic, but if people are going to lie to me, at least make it something that's not easily demonstratively false. Like a number that I can fact check with a simple look at the preliminary report. Don't tell me that you're supposed to you staff 16 people and 7 people on the night shift when there was only 5 there, without providing an explanation as to why you only had 5 there. Don't piss on my head and tell me it's raining. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't tell me something's on Pacer when I have a Pacer account and I can check it. Like, so if people are lying to me about something that I can take 30 seconds and fact check, you locked me out of my phone. It didn't die. You locked me out of my phone, and you're not calling my phone. Yeah. So don't, like, I hate people that lie to me in general, but if you're going to lie to me about something so stupid that I can fact check within 45 seconds, what else are you going to lie to me about, kind of thing. Woo, okay. Angel, if you're going to do that, you got to take, girl, Hi, I love you. You gotta look right there and say hi. Yes, they sit next to each other. Not coordination. Is that a seat? That is a seat assignment. Yes. You and Spawn did talk about math. Something didn't add up. Yeah, the staffing numbers. They're supposed to have 9 according to the SOP. 9 on that shift. They were staffing 7 and they only had 5. So, yes, when you lie about the little things that don't matter, you're likely going to lie about the big things that do. Spin the bottle. We should do a bingo card of how they communicate. Do you want to go down or you want to stay up here?
No.
That's not an answer.
No.
Do you want your pad?
No. Yes.
You got to go down there then.
No. That's.
Okay. Well, I love you,
What?
but you're a toddler. Toddler's going to toddle. Yeah. Everybody says hi to you. I just can't, that's how my logic works. And that's not how everybody is, but that's a boundary that I have. If someone lies to me about something that I can prove false with a paper,
See?
or with a simple Google search,
I got.
what else are you willing to lie about me or lie to me about? Which I lose trust in people very easily that way. So when he lost my trust, Clark Allen lost my trust with that staffing number stuff. It's like, are you lying or are you stupid? Like, I'm not really sure which one's the case here. Are you lying or are you just dumb? Yeah, suit guy is doing a lot of double talk. Or yeah. Prayers go out to the people hurt in a steel explosion. Steel explosion? I didn't hear about that. We've been busy here. But let's get back to it. Because we're an hour in and we've only got 20 minutes of the hearing.
Simulator. There are some simulations that you do as well, correct?
Correct.
Is the assistant local control and local controller paired up in those simulations as well?
We don't simulate for assistant local control.
Okay. Do the controllers receive training on how to manage their workload?
We go through, in the simulation training, we go through various percentages and build up so they can gauge how traffic volume and complexities increase. And then as they do the actual on-the-job training on the position, they begin at lower hours of volume and complexity and then build off of that. So the training team, like I stated, there's a training team associated with them. They meet routinely, they have discussions, and they know where the person in training is at, what they need to work on as they continue to work up to a certified controller.
And if a controller became overwhelmed on shift, the workload just got beyond what they were comfortable with, what would they do?
If there was too much workload, they should notify the supervisor or controller in charge, and we can recall additional staff back that are on break or perhaps other duties to come and relieve them.
Is there a simulated scenario where you push a controller to need to ask for that relief?
Not that I'm aware of.
Are the supervisors trained to recognize if one of their controllers is becoming overwhelmed?
We have discussions about it.
It's not a formal training or part of their training?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. If the local control and helicopter control positions needed to be decombined, was there staffing to do that on the night of the event?
Yes.
And is that the local controller's responsibility or the supervisor's responsibility to recognize that that's needed?
It would be both.
You had mentioned, Mr. Sober had asked you about the time that the supervisor had been on position, and you had mentioned that if needed, a controller in charge could have stepped in to offer them some relief. Were there any controllers, and you said that the controller in charge had some additional training to be able to fulfill that role. Were any of the controllers on duty that night able to step in as controller in charge if needed?
Yes.
Mr. Sober also asked you about
They could have
the control, the helicopter control.
They could have stepped in if needed, but why didn't they? Because listening to the audio, and I will go over, I think it's the VASA Aviation or VAS Aviation who has the audio that I listened to. But we'll listen to the actual audio and you can hear it for yourself. I just, oh, yeah. I'm just, yeah, I'm liking him less and less because like training is everything. Safety is everything. And the fact that it's nonchalant, and we have this at 1.35 speed. So look how long he's taking to pause between being asked the question and when he's formulating an answer. Think about that in real time. That is a long, long time. He's thinking very, very carefully, almost too carefully. Squid is really not enjoying this guy at all. No, he annoyed me in panel 2 because I felt like he wasn't wearing a suit jacket when everybody else was. And I understand it's hot in there, but like, you got ice? Did you close the freezer? Yeah. Okay, thank you. He annoyed me then because he was the only one. And it's like, okay, I understand it's hot and you're a big dude and you're probably a little more sweaty than most. Trust me, I know. But like, come on. And now he's got one on. It looks like he wants to take it off, but he's scared to. Probably because he's all drenched underneath there with the questions that he's being asked. And this right here, safety first. Safety first. Even if you have to admit that you are not the greatest at your job or you're having problems with your job is life or death. If you have to go, hey, this is too stressful for me, or like I can't, I'm feeling overwhelmed with this, don't try to play the hero because that's when shit like this happens. Like, all safety rules are written in blood. Walk in a hangar. If there's a red dot painted on the roof, that's where an ejection seat hit. Oh, yeah. I named him Smug Shit. Smug. Look at the guy between Smug Shit and Mr. Clean. And I only call him Mr. Clean because if you know, like, y'all know automatically who I'm talking about. If I say his name, you know, it takes you a second or two to like look at the name tags if you can see them. But if I say Mr. Clean, you know who I'm talking about.
Control and local control positions being combined. Do you know, you said it could be tracked how often it is combined. Do you know how often the positions are combined versus decombined?
No, we would have to get that data for you depending on whatever time frame you would like.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any sort of sense? Is it 50% of the time? Is it open more than it's combined, or?
And you're referring to at that time?
And it's them again. It's actually not me for once. But look at the guy between Mr. Clean and let
Just
there
in
be
general. I mean, let's go back.
This is their connection, not me. The little has her trampoline in here. She put reusable ice cubes on her trampoline and she's jumping and see what happens to them. That is physics in real time. Come on.
Unexpected situations, unexpected events, conflict alerts. How are controllers trained to these accidents to be included in training? And the FAA responded that in 2017 that all controllers were provided this integrated safety training workshop, which talked about threat and error management. And in our interviews with some of the controllers, we asked them if they knew what threat and error management was, and nobody did. So does that concern you that a training that was offered to all controllers isn't remembered by the controllers?
Sometimes controllers may not recognize the course name or what's specifically being discussed. I recall the NTSB safety recommendations. I was in air traffic safety at the time as an investigator. We have since built into our annual recovery training that Mr. Allen is specifically speaking to as part of unusual situations, traffic alerts, safety advisories, recovery again, and ensuring positive separation. So while those specific accidents from Charleston and San Diego are not included directly, those similar type scenarios are built into the training.
So in the training that you're saying is being developed or has been developed, it's already in place?
It already has been developed as part of our 3120.4 training manual.
And is there training that includes threat and error management, or you feel like covers those topics?
I honestly can't recall what the threat and error management training delivered in 2016 was focused on.
Well, I mean, the training that you're talking about,
The training that I'm talking about has a different title now. It's just part of our recurrent training, and we have specific topics. I believe there are 8 specific topics we go over annually, and then the facility has an initial 4 topics I think they can pick as it's germane to their operation.
and does that training include threat and error management or similar topics in terms of recognizing unexpected events and how to respond to them, how to mitigate the
Yes.
risks?
Yes.
Okay.
She's like, no.
Sorry, can I jump in on an exhibit level? Could you provide that for the hearing record, the specific training? And if it's by video, can FAA provide that so our staff can see the video as well as any corresponding materials?
And
The 3120 is already included in the exhibits. If you want these specific scenarios, they're built into the simulation systems for all those facilities that have simulators. They're required to develop problems in their simulation that focus on each of those areas. So it might be a little difficult. If you'd like a copy of DCA's specific training syllabus, happy to provide that.
I leave it up to you to, I know that nothing was provided earlier in the documentation back and forth between FAA, so I just want to make sure.
We do have some training documents, but let's go ahead and request it again to make sure that we've got the most up-to-date one. I think that would be appropriate.
We'll make sure to provide that.
Thank you.
And I'll just chime in, sorry. I think the problem is it doesn't, whatever we have doesn't seem to specifically address this. So maybe you guys can talk and figure
Yes.
out what that is.
What happens is we provide topics and we direct every facility to build a simulation problem on these specific topics. And so it's built into their problem at their facility. You have to be in their simulator to run it, and it has to cover those specific topics. So the documentation would just direct them to build problems here. To get the actual problems on video or something that's similar, we would have to go into the lab and manually record it.
The DCA SOP lists the responsibilities for the assistant local control. And the first responsibility listed is alert local control of any unusual situations or traffic conflicts. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Mr. Allen, I believe you said they don't do any simulator. The ALC, the assistant local control, is not trained in a simulator, correct?
The ALC position is not specifically trained in the simulator. However, when they are certified on it, they are certified on the on local control as well.
face,
So they
man,
will
I just
receive
sorry.
simulation there.
I just can't. I'm sorry. I keep interrupting, but one, I don't want the Hill to copyright strike me, so I need to keep interrupting. But that dude's face in the back, I cannot remember his name offhand. I will look. I have the witness list. It doesn't, in Dr. Catherine Wilson, it doesn't say what her I was wanted to see when they were questioned by what their credentials were, but she most likely has a PhD in aeronautical engineering or mechanical engineering or something. So it's but this guy in the back is let's see, not Rick Dressler, James Jarvis. That's the guy in the front. Kenneth Allendorfer is, I'm assuming, who that is. Or wait. I'm trying to look at the guy's name. It ends in AN. The dude in the middle, yeah, the dude with the blue tie, right, and the glasses and the gray hair. I think it's AN. I think that's Eric Silverman. He is the ATC Airfield Operations Manager for DC, Philly, New York, Boston, New England region for American Airlines. So, yeah. My guess is that he is not a big fan of Clark Allen to begin with, just based on his title here. Airfield Operations Manager for DC, Philly, New York, Boston, New England region. So he would be in the, if he was at DC, he would be in the American Airlines tower. So if you look at an airport, you will see, not only do you have the regular air traffic control tower, but on each concourse, you will see a little mini tower, which literally just looks like an extra floor with windows all around. That is whoever is in that concourse, whatever airlines in that concourse, that will be their operations department. Because not only ramp coordinates with ops, and ramp coordinates a lot with gate coordinates with ops coordinates with ATC. It's kind of the area of like, I would never go straight to ATC, obviously, but the gate agents would talk to their operations. Like Frontier would talk to I would talk to Frontier gate agents. Frontier gate agents would talk to Frontier operations. Operations would talk to ATC and or airport ops. So he is not a big fan of this dude. I would assume. It's, if you jinx me, you jinx me. Yeah, that what fuck face gives it away.
And training there that would then directly correlate with the assistant position.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is if I'm the assistant local control, and I'm supposed to alert the local control of any unusual situations or traffic conflicts, how would I know how to do that?
Because you're already a certified local controller. So you're already aware and you've already been trained on that.
He's deflecting.
But I do think there's an additional coordination piece that's needed because you're not the local control. And so I'm trying to understand, how do they know how to do that coordination piece, when to jump in, and maybe it's just from the experience of being a local controller, but is there any sort of teamwork training that happens Sure, Mr. Fuller.
Yes, Dr. Wilson. We do teach the tower team concept, but I think what Mr. Allen is specifically speaking to, it's almost like, the best analogy is a backseat driver. Once you have your driver's license, you know how to drive. When you sit in the passenger seat, if you recognize a conflict or a traffic, you alert the person that is operating the specific control position. In our assistant local control, while they don't do direct simulation there, they've done the simulation as a local controller. We teach the tower team concept. We instruct our supervisors, everybody in the tower cab, if you see something, say something, point out those specifics. If the local controller needs a coordination, they're free to just reach over to the ALC and say, do this for me, or provide specific instruction. The more experience they have there, the assistant local controller will recognize what assistance the local controller need. And each local controller has differences in how they like to receive assistance. Some don't want you touching any of their devices or operating their memory aids or their data block manipulation. And so you have that working relationship that just over time, you understand the duties for the assistant.
But how do you know
that they do receive on-the-job training, so they are actively.
And how do you, do they have a brief? I understand what this woman is asking. Do they have a briefing before they start work, before they start their shift? Hey, you're going to be the assistant local control. This is what I expect, or this is what I want, or hey, this is how things normally go, but I have a headache today. I might need a little bit more assistance than I normally do. Do they have a hand down, or do they talk to the person who is assistant local control before on the shift before them? Do they have a pass down? What is the procedure? Don't they have on the job training? You're not answering the freaking questions. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Backseat driver course crashes. Oh, he's not answering the questions. Neither one of them are. And I think that's where I am getting, if I were the person asking questions, I would be like, please answer my questions. What do they do specifically? Is there anything that they require? Do they have on a daily basis when they were to walk into work, they just go straight to work? They don't talk. They don't have a safety meeting. You don't do a pre-shift meeting. You don't do anything. You just walk into work, sit down, and because for some reason that doesn't sound safe. Hi, Angel.
working the position with a certified on-the-job training instructor, so they learn those nuances real time.
Okay, thank you. So let me be a little more direct on the night of the event. Did the assistant local control meet the expectation of the #1 responsibility in the DCA SOP?
I don't know what coordination that may or may not have occurred, so I can't speak to whether that person met my expectations or not. I wasn't there.
Can we go turn off the light? I'd be so angry asking these questions. I'd be like, you're not answering.
Mr. Allen, based on your experience, is there any additional training that you think would be good for controllers to have?
Let me get back to you on that one.
Okay. Switching gears, I thought I was going to give you a break, Mr. Allen, but I just have 2 questions.
Yeah, like what? No pass down, no pre-shift weather report, special events, nothing. You just walk into work, sit down, pick up your headset and go. You don't even get told what aircraft you have. Like, give us something. Give us something, sir. And this is where he's losing credibility because oh my God. Like, oh my God. Can you imagine how derailed we would be if Spawn was here right now? And later on his stream with my pretty, you can tell him I said that. Because, yeah, you can tell him I said that. But, yeah, let me get back to you. I like this guy. No more. And she's like, I'm over this. So, like, yeah. Yeah. Nope.
Questions, and then I'll switch to someone else. The conflict alert system, we mentioned that. Can you just explain that system, what its purpose is, how it works from a controller's perspective?
Yeah, the conflict alert system has parameters built into the software of when it'll alarm and at what interval. With that, we get, if it does alarm, we get an audible alarm, and then on the data tag, we would get a CA for the conflict alert and a flashing red letters.
So what does that mean to a controller when that happens?
It draws attention to it. If you already haven't resolved, the system doesn't know that we may, as controllers, have already resolved the situation via separation standards or by other means. So if you've already resolved it, you just take another look at it and ensure that everyone is complying with instructions that you may have issued. If it's something maybe that you didn't see, then you take appropriate corrective action.
Wait, and this is one of the things that I have to go back and listen to that again, because if I heard him correctly, that is one of the other things that I think with this whole Trump administration wanting to redo all of air traffic control and their technology that I think might want to be included. The system doesn't know if something's been corrected. There should be a way to input that, whether it be manually or AI. Just saying.
Okay, thank you. I'll give you a break for a few minutes. Thanks for your answers. Dr. Allendorfer, switching to you and the conflict alert system. Are there certain algorithms that trigger a conflict alert that you're aware of?
Yes, conflict alert actually includes multiple algorithms. Some of the algorithms look into the future and predict where the aircraft are going to be in a certain period of time. Other sub-algorithms, let's call them, they look where the aircraft are currently, and if the criteria for that algorithm are met, then the alert activates. So within conflict alert, there's multiple algorithms operating simultaneously. They could all be met, one of them could be met, and then the alert activates.
And the presentation to the controller, is it different depending upon which algorithm is activated?
No, it's not.
Okay, so just so that my understanding, based on what Mr. Allen said, it's an oral alert and a red flashing alert on the display?
Correct, yep. There is one other indicator. There's what's called the CA, conflict alert list, which provides the call signs of the two aircraft that are involved. It's like a window on the display in addition to the data blocks, which are turning red, flashing, and so on.
Okay, thank you. Has there been any research conducted on controller response time to conflict alerts?
Yes, there has. In a variety of circumstances, the response times can vary depending upon what the response is. If the alert is urgent, the controllers will respond right away. Other times, if the alert is maybe on the margins, they may wait a bit to look to see what happens. They also may know that something is about to happen. For example, an aircraft may be alerting, but the controller knows when it reaches this fix, it's going to turn. So they may wait to respond until that turn happens or doesn't. And then if it doesn't, then they respond. Or if it does happen as they expected, then they may not make the call.
And this is them. This is YouTube. This is the Hills site or a YouTube channel. This is not me. But it seems like some things are shady. I know that you can't regulate everything as far as each person has their own way of dealing with things, and there's always more than one way. There's always more than one right answer. So you can't write operating procedures that go down to, well, you have to let them know before it's corrected, or like. However, there should be backup plans for shit, and there should be a general way of doing things, and it seems like they're all over the place. Me personally, they are all over the place, and it doesn't seem like either Clark Allen or Nick Fuller seem to have answers for why things seem to be all over the place.
Controller has already addressed the situation or has used other means like visual separation or divergent course separation to address the alert in some other way, and the alert system doesn't know that action has been taken. And so that alert in some sense it's not false, but we consider it falling into the nuisance category. It's not a great term for it, but that is what we call it. The false alarm rate is very, very low, especially at a big airport that has good surveillance, good radar. There's almost no radar error. The alerts in a false sense are very, very uncommon. A nuisance alert depends on the position of the aircraft, how busy that sector may be, the procedures, how close the aircraft are normally coming. So the nuisance alert rate will vary very much by the sector specific or the facility. The tracking it requires very deep analysis of what was going on at that time of that alert, very resource intensive kinds of analysis. So the tracking that you could do is more the numbers of alerts that occur rather than whether those alerts were nuisances or not.
If I recall from the interviews with the controllers, they do get alerts on a daily basis. And assuming they do have these nuisance alerts, what does that do to controllers' response time to these alerts? How do nuisance alerts impact their response?
Anytime there is any sort of alert, what's called desensitization is a concern. The trick is to make sure you never want the alert system to miss a real one. So we tend to err on the side of alerting even when maybe we don't need to. We would much rather take a nuisance alert or a false alert than a miss. So the system is designed to provide some number of alerts that might qualify as a nuisance. That does have an effect potentially on controllers' trust in the system, their response times. The effect would be in the nature of waiting to see if the situation can be resolved organically or without action. If the situation is urgent, the controller response times are very quick. They'll issue traffic, they'll issue maneuver, they will coordinate with their other sectors. Over time, if there were a lot of nuisance alerts, that would be a big concern on response times and also the accuracy of the response, what response they take. That is a concern that is not just in air traffic or in aviation, but in all sorts of life critical alert situations in medicine and the military. It's something that human factors people like myself, we spend a lot of our energy to make sure that is not the alert rate, the nuisance alert rate is kept as low as possible.
Great, thank you. Is this a new system, this conflict alerting? Is this a fairly old system?
The system that was used at DCA and at Potomac Tracon uses what's called the STARS, the Standard Terminal Automation Replacement System. STARS was designed in the late 90s, early 2000s. It was deployed in that time period across the NAS. So it is not new. It is 20 years old or so. The alert algorithms are based on the previous system, which is called ARTS, Automated Radar Terminal System. That existed from the 70s. The alert algorithms have been developed over time and evolved. So no, they're not new.
Is there new technology available that could sort of prevent these nuisance alerts that controllers are getting?
There are techniques that exist. They're not necessarily using new technology, but there would be additional enhancements to algorithms or different additional parameters that systems in other domains have utilized. En route air traffic control has a system called Conflict Probe, which is more sophisticated. It is more of a strategic conflict alert, but it has more sophisticated algorithms where it can look into the future and consider more factors when it decides whether to alert or not. Those would be software changes to stars. There are a variety of parameters inside of stars that can be adjusted either at the local level or the national level. And there are ways for air traffic to adjust those parameters to help optimize the system.
And is that facility specific?
There are national parameters that are set. The facilities do have an ability to adjust parameters on a local level to an extent. There is a process for reviewing requests to adjust the parameters. If the adjustments are approved, then they can be implemented at the local level.
Okay, I'm going to ask to suspend. Just stop for a second. We'll come back to the technical panel, but I can tell that people need a break. So we are going to take a 15-minute break and we'll come back and resume with the technical panel.
I cannot wait. I'm going to skip this 15 minutes. However, I can so tell. I so tell that guy from American Airlines is getting freaking pissed. He is getting annoyed. It looks like he wants to keep talking, or he wants to interject. His face has so much to say. I can't wait until it's his turn to answer questions because, oh my goodness. Holy, I can't wait. Like he's going to be my favorite person. I can tell already. He and I are on the same wavelength. He's my dude. And what's with all this foreign language stuff in the chat? I spoke German very poorly like 20 years ago. And now English is my only language. Oh, you'll crack me up. Ooh.
Just a few more questions for you, Dr. Allendorfer. We were talking about the conflict alerting system and the different algorithms and the age of the system, how long this system has been around. So are there any changes that can be made to the current system that could improve the salience of the alerts? So maybe prioritizing one of the algorithms over another?
There are some improvements that we have identified in various reports. Those improvements would be software changes to stars. The program office in air traffic would have to figure out an implementation strategy, work with the vendor, and do that. But there are improvements that could be made. Yes.
Is that a fairly easy fix or?
Not easy. Probably no.
Okay.
Expensive. Probably yes.
Cheaper than replacing the whole system?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Has the FAA explored other technologies that could replace the current system, the conflict alerting system? Is that even possible?
Not that I'm aware of.
From your perspective and the research that you've done, can you say what the reliability or the accuracy is of conflict alerts? Is that even something that we can measure?
The accuracy in the sense that is it false or not is very, very high. It is almost never false. The reliability in the sense that does this alert indicate a situation that is needs the controller's attention? In sort of by definition, the conflict alert is designed to identify situations that require attention. Whether they also require an action or a maneuver or some sort of other action like that, that's not. It's very hard to determine how reliable it would be in that sense.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Allen. From a controller's perspective, do you have a sense of how often is a controller having to respond to a conflict alert?
Naturally, you respond every time.
Well, but I mean, from the sense, is it a nuisance alert where, you know, as you said, well, you know that it's not really a conflict versus this is a conflict that I have to actually take action with one or both of the aircraft?
I would say approximately 40 to 50% of the time, the alert is not relevant.
Okay, thank you.
And that leads back to what AT1 said above. When it's a nuisance and it doesn't mean anything, when it does, they won't pay attention to it as much. Like the boy who cried wolf.
Switching gears a little bit, still for Dr. Allendorfer, we heard in panel 2 that transmissions may be blocked or stepped on, particularly when the helicopter and fixed wing traffic are on separate frequencies. And I believe it was stated that there was no way for the controller to know if a transmission was stepped on. Correct, Mr. Allen? I think you said that yesterday. There's nothing that tells you that one of the transmissions made was stepped on.
No, there's nothing that indicates that.
So Dr. Allendorfer, is there any technology available that would alert a controller, that could be used to alert a controller that
There's not. Okay, I have a problem here too. I've seen this on a lot of, when I've listened to a lot of audio, that controllers will not repeat back what the pilot said, and vice versa. Generally, it's the controller not repeating what AT or the pilot said. But if a transmission's been stepped on, the one way to know is that the controller doesn't read back what the pilot said. So if the pilot said, do I have visual separation? Or, and the controller does not repeat back anything, your transmission was stepped on. So the pilot would repeat. Yes, it's the pilot doing it, not the controller. But when you get a repeated question from the pilot standpoint, and vice versa. Like if you ask the controller something and the pilot doesn't answer or doesn't repeat back what you're asking, that is one way to do it. How about you change your radio practices and you change the way you educate people how to speak on the radio? I mean, that would be something that you don't need technology for. You just need common fucking sense and like a second to repeat back what they said. Just a thought. Maybe it's just me. Like I said, logic. But what do I know? I don't work in aviation anymore.
the transmission's been stepped on? Are you aware of anything?
There were voice technology systems, one called Nexcom from many years ago, 20 years ago or so, that were under development that would address, to extent, step-ons. Basically, the controller would have basically a block. Their transmissions would essentially make the channel busy, and other transmissions would be blocked. That is not the system that we currently have, but that technology does exist in the world, but not in the NASA.
Are you able to speak, Dr. Allendorfer, to normalization of deviance? Or are you able to explain that sort of concept and what that means?
From a human factors perspective?
Yes.
Yes. So normalization of deviance, is that what you're asking? So so deviance would be doing something that is different than the norm, outside the rules, doing something that's not allowed. If that is done repeatedly and becomes sort of culturally what is commonly done, people don't get in trouble for doing so, then the deviance becomes the norm of the people who are in that situation. They learn to start not paying attention to it, to do it as a commonplace thing. It's the kind of everybody does it, what's the big deal kind of situation.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Allen, you mentioned in your previous interviews, you talked about the controllers having to do these squeeze plays and making it work at DCA. Do you think that controllers are becoming comfortable with having to, make it work? Is that something that you would say controllers have to do with the amount of traffic, having to offload traffic, having to manage the helicopter control, local control positions being combined? Are they constantly having to make it work in the tower?
A majority of the time, yes.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
This question I have for, anyone on the tech panel who would like to answer, or I'm sorry, on the witness panel who would like to answer, but I mean, is the DCA airspace safe to fly in?
I'd like to answer that question.
That'd be great, thanks.
Absolutely, it's safe to fly in.
Mm-hmm.
I flew out myself this weekend, round trip. I plan to do so in another few weeks. The U.S. is one of 193 countries in the world. but we operate and maintain and safely provide air traffic services to about 28 to 36% on any given day of the world aviation traffic. The controllers at DCA are responsible, well-trained, and I would have no problem leaving out on a flight in or out of that airport on any given day.
Thank you. Mr. Gressler?
The
Well-
airspace system.
Jeffrey, I have a pushback on that. When she asked him how old the system was, he said that it was he gave her an answer like an 8, like, yeah, it's been around a while. I asked how old the system was. Tell me, when was it installed? And she's asking questions. Like, I would be more direct with questions because God knows me be direct. Who would have thunk it? But it's kind of that thing where I would have asked, I don't know, like, how old is the system? Not how many times has it been used? How old? Like, when was it put in? When was it installed? 1970, 1980, 1990, 2000? Like, I need an age. How old is it? Like, then I would have followed up with how much experience do they have with it if it was like 2000. But like, she's asking these questions very not like I would. But, you know, it's easy for me sitting back behind a freaking computer. Repeat back is so basic. It should be ingrained as normal. And it generally is from the pilot's perspective. But to me, that's one way to eliminate the possibility of being stepped on, is that if you didn't have somebody repeat what you said, they obviously didn't hear you. It seems like common sense, but that's why you're the AT1 and he's not. I don't know. I never had the chance to take the AT1 test, so.
Since 1986, the helicopter routes were very successful. Obviously, that success ended quite tragically on January 29. To answer your question, today, the airspace is the least safe it's ever been, thanks to the changes that have been implemented after January 29.
Mr. Van Vechten, do you have any thoughts on the airspace?
Yes, I've always felt that the airspace was safe. I don't think safety has decreased since the accident.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have for now.
Which means that everybody here thinks it was a pilot error or a human error. And this is we always try to be on this channel respectful of the fact that people lost their lives, including people who may be responsible for this. But I'm going to sound like a really crude and awful person saying this, but we have difficult conversations on this channel. I believe it was that pilot's fault, and she is no longer around to fly any more missions. So if it was her fault and her fault alone, the problem eliminated itself. I feel awful saying that, but I mean, and that would explain why that other pilot is so damn confident that the airspace is safe, because he thinks it's her fault. That's what that tells me. I feel like a dick saying that. I feel like an asshole saying that out loud. I don't know how other way to put that, and there's just some things you can't sugarcoat. But to me, everybody here saying the airspace is safe, to me, would tell me it's not what they said, it's what they didn't say. By saying that the airspace is safe means that it was human error, not the airspace that is the problem. And, well, yeah, I hear what you're saying. You said it well, although you feel like that. No problem. Well, thanks. It's just one thing to think it. It's another thing to say it out loud. she isn't here to tell that side, so we have his to get an answer. Yeah, and based on the, I don't know. Yeah, and there's the, but based on what people are saying in this, yes, there's some deflection, and yes, there's some blame passing, and it's always easier to blame someone who's not there to defend themselves. But yeah, well, the helo occupying the same space as an airliner at the same time begs to differ. Yeah. But the way that pilot answered that question was that he never had a problem. And the fact that he never had a problem and he thinks he's competent means that anybody who has a problem is incompetent. You read between the lines, especially with military people. It's not what they say, it's what they don't say. And it's not always about what they say, it's how they say it. Yeah, and that's my whole point too. Chris, you and I have thought that from the very beginning. I think she was at fault, but that helicopter should have never been able to get that close to a passenger jet. That Route 4 should not be there. Should not be there. Or it should be farther away from I think that's the Anacostia River. So that it's if you're going to pass under a land or under the path of landing aircraft, I always want AT1, I always want to call it the LA. If you're going to pass on it, I'm just going to call it the LA for simplification terms. LA means landing area. If you're going to pass under the LA, at least do it farther back where the aircraft are at a higher elevation so that there's more separation. I don't understand why they need to be that close together. Yeah, it doesn't change the answer to the question. He strongly said, I'm not afraid. Yeah, because he thinks he's competent, which by all means, take it at face value, he's competent. But when someone says, yeah, I'm competent or I'm confident with that, it means that the person who screwed up or the situation at hand was the person whose fault. Off topic, but the dude's toupee on the right is wilders and drums. Yeah, you can see the line right there. He doesn't fade it very well. And if you feel the need to wear a toupee for your self-confidence, you do you, boo. It's that kind of thinking has gotten pilots killed. Case in point, Kara Holtgren. I don't know who that is, or if I do. That might actually be his real hair. He might just have a bad haircut. Don't feel bad for stating the obvious. I agree 100%. Yeah, it's just one thing to it's one thing to say it out loud, though, because you just feel like an ass, because you don't want to talk negatively of the dead. You never want to, stomp on someone's... And hey, Tammy, how are you? It's just one of those situations of, I never want to talk negative. If that is real, he has a really nice head of hair, though. It's very a in late 80s, early 90s kind of shag, or when I was in high school. However, oh yeah, that woman. I remember that crash. I just didn't remember her name. If that's real, it's a really nice head of hair. Anyway, getting back to this. I told you these hearings are going to take us weeks, and this is partially why. But we got to be a little petty because we got to keep it lighthearted. Because if we don't keep it lighthearted and we joke, yes, we're making jokes at their expense. However, everybody, like even Judge Carroll in the Maya Kowalski case, the Tuft of Justice, got a nickname. Everybody gets a nickname. I don't know. I wish I could see the other side of his head.
Okay, I have a couple clarifying questions and some tag-ons from earlier. First of all, we asked a question regarding the assistant local controller's expectations. Mr. Fuller, I know you've had an opportunity. You reviewed this event correctly in some way, shape, or form. Had looked at the SRT and all of that.
Correct.
Okay. In from your standpoint in ATO, did the assistant local controller meet the expectations of the air traffic organization that day?
From perspective, again, without knowing what conversations took place in the tower, the only thing I've known is the interview notes. And from the interview notes, I think the assistant local controller didn't detect the conflict. Our expectation, if they had, is to alert the local. But again, not having been in the tower, I don't know if they were busy with other duties. So if they were providing other assistance, then yes, they met my expectations. But if they were merely just not working, then again, it's really unfair for me, the Monday morning quarterback, and knowing the result.
That's okay. And how about the tower team concept? You mentioned that earlier. Do you think the tower team concept, as outlined in 7110 or 7210, do you think that met the expectations on that evening as a whole?
Ideally, the helicopter position would have been split from the local control. And my expectation is that would have been a decision that was made from the ops supervisor, given the workload, given the time of day, and given that there was helicopter traffic.
Okay, very good. And Mr. Jarvis, same questions as a quality control expert.
Meaning ATC fucked up. Meaning ATC fucked up. So even though the pilot might have effed up, ATC fucked up too.
For the Eastern Service Area and previously the representative for DCA Airport Traffic Control Tower. From your viewpoint in the review of this event, did you find the assistant local controller met expectations?
I did agree with Mr. Fuller in not knowing what other duties were their efforts being made. So I wouldn't be able to qualify that answer.
And how about the tower team concept?
It failed.
Okay. And do you have any feelings one way or the other? You spent some time in that facility, I know, so you're familiar with their requirements they had, at least at the time, for the helicopter position, staffing, and all of that. Do you feel, based on the traffic that you observed in this event and everything you know about the event, that the positions being decombined was consistent with the SOP and would have met your expectations?
I did review the event and went back quite a bit, and there just wasn't enough helicopter traffic in the vicinity. Now I'll say, as the event
So let's see if I can.
The number were there, the number of helicopters was there, but there was little complexity, from what I recall, to that helicopter traffic.
Okay. And there's a clarification from yesterday that we have our colleagues at NACA and our group member that joined us in our investigation brought to our attention yesterday, which is just relevant and I think good to bring out here, which was we were talking about the helicopter route charts and the altitude requirements and that they were suggestive and what the concept was. It just so happens that the DCA LOA with the 12th Aviation Battalion actually outlines that they will follow the helicopter route chart when they request a transition through there to include the altitudes. As a matter of fact, reading right from the LOA, which of course I can't do. Yeah, I can't do it. Okay, so anyway, it does say they will comply. So for DCA, there's an expectation that they would be at or below 200 feet as published on the helicopter route chart by agreement with the local, the LOA.
Mr. Soper, may
yes.
I make one clarifying statement about, it's Rick Dressler, by the way. May I make a statement about that as well?
Yes.
There's a specific note on the chart that I looked at after yesterday's session, and it specifically states that acceptance into the Class B is as depicted, and it does constitute a clearance that you cannot deviate from. There should be no confusion on this point.
Great. Even further clarification. So that's awesome.
If I may add some context, again, yes. When you talk about the specific helicopter routes, and
those two, Mandy and Brian Lehman, have not spoken much at all during this. I mean, they haven't spoken in an hour.
The discussion was not meant to say that helicopter operators don't need to follow the routes and can just go willy-nilly around the Class Bravo. But again, there are no defined widths on the helicopter routes. The altitudes, even on the different helicopter charts as published, if you look at the, say, the Dallas-Fort Worth helicopter charts, the language on the altitude says should be 1,300. It's a gap we've identified. We are working to close that with our National Helicopter Work Group. We therefore, if an aircraft drifts off the bank of the river and drifts toward the center of the river, how could we therefore violate that pilot for doing something to remain clear of clouds or avoiding traffic? It's not to say that these helicopter routes shouldn't be followed, but it's just to say that as an air traffic controller, if you are depending on that route width definition for separation or the altitude for separation, you need to take positive control and provide clear, consistent instructions, consistent with the phraseology in Class Bravo airspace that says via route, maintain altitude while in Bravo airspace.
Okay.
Mr. Fuller, just for those, can you describe what positive control means?
Yes, Madam Chairman. Positive control is ensuring that you know specifically exactly what route, altitude, or heading that an aircraft will maintain. And what I mean by that, Mr. Soper, I'm certain you can relate to this, is if you have an aircraft check on at 8,500 request and flight follow, and you ready to identify that aircraft, clearment of the Bravo, you expect them to maintain 8,500. But if for some reason that aircraft starts descending to avoid clouds or buildup or something, they have that prerogative unless you are specifically assigned an altitude of 8,500. And if that's what you're dependent on for safety, for separation from an IFR aircraft, you need to assign it. And that's the relevant example I can provide for the helicopter routes.
Understand. So, Mr. Fuller, this question is actually for you. We continually heard through the interviews, there's been a longstanding contentious subject of miles and trail being provided from Potomac to DCA. Can you explain to us what miles and trail are, what we're referring to when we say that term?
Miles and trail is typically a term referred to as the separation standard from subsequent aircraft, and normally it's an arrival stream or a final approach stream.
Okay. And having experience working at multiple facilities and in roles and oversight and whatnot, and including high capacity demand airports, would you find it normal for miles and trail criteria to be agreed upon through LOAs between the towers and the overarching TRACONs?
Typically, miles and trail are dynamic and on demand. They're based on weather conditions, traffic volume. Obviously, you have a normal standard, but a mile and trail, depending on the winds or the weather conditions, if aircraft are deviating, is going to change every day.
Okay. Are you aware of any facilities that do have miles and trail actually agreed upon in their LOA?
There are some.
To assist with flow.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Allen, we noticed in the LOA with Potomac TRACON, there is no prescribed miles and trail there. Do you know why that is?
To my knowledge, the facilities could never come to an agreement on it.
Okay. Have you been part of any discussions with that facility to attempt to get a miles and trail agreement at all that you're aware of or that you can recall?
I know it was a part of one that occurred many years ago, but I can't recall the substance of it.
Okay. And Mr. Lehman, so being the overarching TRACON for DCA Airport Traffic Control Tower, do you remember any conversations of that over the years regarding miles and trail or attempts to get an established miles and trail agreement between the two?
Yes, but they were on a dynamic basis, not on a every day, every hour basis. So we have actually put them in on a dynamic basis as they were that night.
Okay. I've noticed some facilities they approach it one of two ways. I mean, I understand what you're saying about the dynamics because it's ever changing. And I've seen some facilities, they say that we want the miles and trail because that's what we need actually departures. And if you want to tighten it up, you can request that. And if workload permits, we can go ahead and let you bring them in tighter. This facility seems to do the opposite, which is Potomac basically sets the miles and trail. And if DCA needs more space, they call in a restriction through the traffic management, put it into the NPML to ask for 4 miles. Is that an accurate categorization of that?
Yeah, so we're sharing 96% of the time we're sharing one runway. So we have it set up as protocols. If they need 4 miles because we have a significant amount of departures, they will ask for it. More in an arrival time, if we have no arrivals, we don't need that. But DCA many times of the day has a mixture of arrivals and departures.
Mr. Allen, I noted in a number of people we spoke to that it is pretty common to have to put in restrictions during different periods of the day, especially during the periods of high demand. Does Potomac, have they been traditionally or more often, are they more often meeting the miles and trail that is requested, or are they missing the miles and trail when you have a restriction in?
Historically, I would say it varies. There will be times of a stretched period of time where there is greater compliance, and then there will be stretches of time where there is not.
And are you able to get that? Are supervisors able to get that corrected on site? What's their avenue if they put in a restriction and then they're still not getting the miles and trail?
The avenue is the TMU in the tower would talk to the Potomac TMU, and the operations supervisor could call out to Mount Vernon is the sector overlying at Potomac that overlies DCA and provides radar services for us. The supervisors can talk and have a discussion about what the impediments are and the best path forward.
Okay. Do you recall during post-event reviews whether or not there was a restriction in leading up to the time of this accident?
There was.
And were they meeting that 4 miles and trail, or were they not meeting the 4 miles and trail? Or are you unaware?
From my recollection, I believe they complied a majority of the time.
Okay. On that evening, the load controller was soliciting arriving air crews to accept a runway 33 arrival in order to get departures out. And can you explain to us, first of all, what we mean when we say offloading to 33? What does that mean?
Offloading to 33 is if there's a heavy arrival demand and spacing is tighter, you would take the aircraft to 33. I think that evening the winds were heavy out of the northwest, 320 gusting to some number. So aircraft arriving directly into the wind, they don't have that crosswind component. And that may have been another factor, is he was providing service for performance for them, but I have not interviewed him and can't speak as to why he was doing those things.
All right. During discussions afterward with anybody about the event, I know you said you didn't interview him or anything. Was there any indication that Miles and Trail that evening played any role in the local controller's decision to attempt offloading aircraft to 33 for those departures, or was it strictly coincidental?
No, prior to the accident, there was demand on the airport, and you could easily infer that he was using it to offload aircraft.
Okay. Ms. Chendi, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nick, or Mr. Fuller.
No, it's fine. I just wanted to add in, there are additional avenues and the pilot does not have to accept the circle of 33. And so they can solicit it. They can slow the aircraft when they check out on final. I don't want the misconception to be that the solution is always to offset to 33. They can do S-turns on final. There are various avenues to control that flow. And in addition to demanding that the TRACON provide a certain mile and trail if they need it. And so I just don't want that to get lost in the conversation.
Understand. Ms. Chendi, one day after the accident, there was a systemic issue review conducted to look at the miles and trail issue. Actually, there was I believe the title on the the systems review was that Potomac not meeting the 4 miles and trail, whatever, during exceptions. So do you recall, were you a part of that systemic issue review?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And can you recall for us the findings that came out of that review?
Certainly. Overall, well, the review was done starting sometime in September of 2024 through January, through the incident itself. And basically, we were doing a review of the mile and trail that the TRACON was providing to Tower, and when they made the request for 4 miles. And in that review, we realized that 90% of the time, the TRACON provided 4 miles in trail to the transfer control point, or to the final approach fix. However, the Tower is requesting for 4 miles in trail to the runway threshold. Now, when we went to review the percentage for the TRACON providing the in-trail to the Tower, that was more around 60% of the time.
Okay. And do you remember what the recommendations of that review was? I think it was classified under a certain classification. Do you remember what that was? Concur and elevate. That's what it was. What does that mean?
Well, the review was done at Tower level. So certainly they need the next facility or another facility to actually solve the issue that they discovered during the review.
So on that one, do you remember what was recommended in that review?
I do. It was, the consensus was TRACON should provide 5 miles in trail to the transfer control point. And I'm just going to paraphrase.
Yes.
Okay. And the request is 5 miles in trail to the transfer control point, which will then provide 4 miles in trail to the runway threshold. And as such, there needs to be a review of the airport arrival rate.
Okay, and I believe that we got a response from the FAA that said this review is still in progress. Mr. Fuller, can you speak to that? Like, where is it at in the process?
So concur and elevate, typically those events go to the service center for resolution. This particular one went to the service center quality control group, which they don't normally manage traffic management disputes. So where it was turned over to is for the district, the TMO, the DDSO, and the Director of Air Traffic Operations to determine what's most appropriate. I believe it's still currently open because it hasn't been resolved.
Okay.
The challenge is one facility made a recommendation that affects multiple facilities. And it's to be quite honest, to alleviate the amount of work that they may or may not have to do. And so it's going to be a complicated issue to resolve. Yes, 4 miles at the transfer control point, that's typically where most approach controllers provide separation. They don't provide separation all the way to the runway threshold because it's well outside their area of control. Some air transfer control points are anywhere from between 5 to 7 miles from the runway threshold. It's almost impossible for the TRACON to run a 4 or 5 mile final all the way to the threshold when that would be well within the tower controller's airspace. And so it's not an easy to solve answer.
Well, that's actually my next question for Mr. Lehman. What are the challenges presented by Potomac TRACON in providing 4 miles in trail or 5 miles in trail for that matter, if you were privy to that?
There are multiple challenges. Sometimes we actually did. Oh, sorry. There are multiple challenges. Sometimes we actually did make the mistake of not giving them the right separation. Sometimes Washington Center, who feeds us, is not giving us the miles in trail that we're supposed to get. We actually have 5 feeds that come into Potomac to feed DCA. Normally, in a busy arrival bank, we only get 20 miles in trail over each feed. So we have to do other air traffic maneuvers inside of Potomac's airspace in order to get that 4 miles. Lastly, at times, the tower is required by our LOA to let us know when they slow aircraft or S-turn aircraft inside of their airspace. And normally they do not let us know. So every time they slow one, it's an accordion effect. It affects the next one and probably the next 3 after. So there's multiple issues of why it's not accomplished. And like Nick said, it is much harder to get to the threshold than it is to the transfer control point, which is 5 miles.
Okay. And Ms. Chindy, back to the review again, are you the one that forwarded the review beyond, or did that go from the facility and you were just part of the review panel team, or what group?
No, it was the facility doing that. I was simply part of the review.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Allen, do you know where that was forwarded to when you forwarded it? Did you get any feedback from the service area that they were forwarding it elsewhere?
Once we had electronically submitted it, concurrent elevate, it goes to the Eastern service area. And that was the last that I personally had heard about it.
All right. Mr. Allen, going back to the practice of offloading traffic to runway 33, this is a non-standard operation that in discussions with pilots while we were on site and even controllers increases workload on the part of both sides, the flight crew as well as air traffic control to some extent. And what is the #1 reason that you find that controllers elect to offload arrivals to 33 as the mitigation?
To supplement for the spacing on final.
So why would they choose
Sorry, we didn't hear that.
Oh, to supplement for the space on final.
Right. So you're building space. But what about? One second.
This is very technical.
What I'm asking is.
This is super technical, and they're saying a lot of stuff that like we don't know as the layperson what all they are talking about. I don't have the docket in front of me as far as what they're looking at. However, it is fascinating to hear about everything that goes into spacing arrivals. It might be something to take into account. Not so much understanding how this relates to what happened on January 29th. But when you are flying somewhere and your plane is delayed coming into the gate, think about all the shit that goes into landing an aircraft safely. So not only is this, what I'm hoping is this opens eyes as to government accountability and why our government is just too effing big and there's too much going on. However, I also want this to be a learning opportunity that sometimes we need a little leniency on, like, when a gate agent is like, when you're upset with a gate agent because your flight is delayed, think about all the shit that is out of their control, and who you're yelling at or who you're upset with. It's just like, from the perspective of someone who's been on that side of the counter before, think about like what all goes into our airspace. So yes, overall, you're hearing about all of these incidents and things that happen, but think how many flights go in and out of airports every day where nothing happens at all and you don't hear about it. But also when your flight is delayed by 15 minutes, think about why. Hey, Mom. Speaking of the gate agent in the house, the gate agent has arrived in chat. How are you? We have to talk after the stream. Because I got thoughts. However, I just think about like what all goes into landing an aircraft, and it's not just communication with the planes and saying, yeah, you're going here. It's coordination with each individual airline, coordination with other routes. Look at all these people on all these panels that we've seen so far, and we're not even halfway through day 2. We're not even halfway through with this entire hearing. And just think of where we are. Yeah, I've never gotten upset at gate agent or flight attendant or pilot. If anything, it's the airlines and their ability to recover from issues. If they have all their flights back to back with no, I'm assuming there's a second part there. So it's just one of those things of like, I don't think people realize what goes into operating shit safely, and how much that it takes coordination between everybody. And this is one of the reasons that like I believe in smaller government, because look how many people have your hands in a pie, and when the pie breaks apart, it all right, so I'm gonna wrap it up here because this is in the middle of a very technical part and I'm starting to lose focus. Yeah, and guess what? There's really no, if you expect an airline to make money, there is no other way. Especially when the price of fuel jumped. Yeah. ATCs controls when each airline can take off, what order, where they're taking off from. Yeah. And Mama Squid, you remember on the little FRJ side, you remember watching some of those tow bars not wanting to come off the damn planes? Like you'd put them on there, you'd hook them up, you'd do a pushback, and then you'd try to unhook the tow bar, and it'd be like drop kicking the damn tow bar trying to get off the freaking plane. I made a comment to Spawn the other day that might only take 15 to 30 seconds of extra time, but that is 15 to 30 seconds that plane could have been on the runway and in line to take off versus still sitting there at the gate trying to be unhooked from the tow tractor. So it's like, yeah, normal people don't even realize this stuff is happening. Stop. Okay, so we stop. Is it time for a nap? Okay, it's time for a nap. Yep, too many cooks in the kitchen spoil the pot. So this is where we will call it a day for this afternoon. We made it about an hour and a half in in 2 hours and 12 minutes. We didn't do too bad. I gotta say so myself, but with all the technical stuff they're starting to talk about, I know that after about 2 hours, the brain power starts to woo, and the attention span starts to go. And this little one not only needs a diaper change, but a nap. So I'm going to try to get her down for a short nap. Yeah, and each delay stacks. That's why if you want to get somewhere on time, your best bet is to take the first flight of the day. Not only are you getting the freshest pilots, the freshest air traffic control, but you are getting the planes that stayed there overnight. So you don't have to worry about your planes coming from somewhere because generally they got there the night before and just were cleaned and whoop, she needs cookies. Well, no Spawn Trooper to interrupt. Don't tell him that. From what I checked, he does not have a stream set up yet. I will check one more time. but you can't get in that bottom drawer. Mommy has it locked. And there's reasons. I know, I'm so mean. Yep, he does not have a stream set up yet. I know he has had a very busy day today. In real life, 3D world kind of work. Captain has one tonight. Well, I know that between Captain and me is Spawn Trooper and My Pretty. They usually do one on Monday afternoons around 3 o'clock. So keep an eye out for that. If not, let me see if Captain Kern comes up. Because usually, this is why I've... Yeah, same for surgery. Always first, never third. And Captain doesn't have anything set up yet that I can find or that shows up on my stuff. I'm getting a lot of random stuff, but not anybody that I subscribe to. However, Flux is live, and we're going to go over to her and say hi real quick. So everybody hit that thumbs up if you didn't. And the lurkers, if you're here and you hate me, hit that thumbs up. If you're here and you hate me, hit the thumbs down. If you're here, say hi. And if you're interested in more of this kind of content, make sure you subscribe, because I love listening to this stuff and talking about it, because I don't know a lot of other people, and I'm sure there are. YouTube has a bunch of people, thousands of creators that I have absolutely no idea that they exist. But I love talking about this stuff. This is the stuff that I love it. I love talking aviation. I love having an in-house expert. Speaking of that, I got to go figure out what I'm going to make for dinner tonight. Y'all have a great night, and I will see you guys on the next one. Go tell Flux I said hi. Bye, guys.